Nightmares in my head, I fear that the thoughts build up until I can't hear, that my mind fills up into a creature, and it haunts me somewhere much deeper.
One video with differing perspectives.
The police shooting death of Takaya Young captured by police body cameras.
Shots fired.
I understand why it could be justified, but again, I don't make that decision. Ultimately, a grand jury is going to make that decision.
I think the video is going to speak for itself.
I still can't quite understand why his gun came out.
We bring you team coverage. You'll hear from the people touched by the shooting.
And you'll see the video for yourself next on NBC4 at 5.
Now, breaking news from NBC4.
Body camera footage released today from the deadly shooting at Kroger in Blendon Township last Thursday.
This comes 8 days after 21-year-old Takaya Young was shot in the store parking lot on Sunbury Road. Young was pregnant when she was shot and also leaves behind 2 children. Now, we do want to warn you, the images you are about to see will be graphic and disturbing.
We are urging and warning viewers right now would be the time to leave the room or mute the TV if you do not want to watch.
We are also bringing you team coverage tonight. Caleb Michael has the response from the family's attorney. Eric Halperin is getting reactions from local law enforcement. But we begin with NBC4's Jamie Ostroff, who is here to walk us through this newly released video. Jamie?
Yeah, so this video comes from the body-worn cameras from each of the 2 officers who were involved in the incident last Thursday. Each of those videos is just over 1 minute long as the confrontation with Takaya Young plays out in just a matter of seconds. The first officer to interact with Takaya Young approaches her car under the suspicion that she stole liquor from Kroger.
Hey, stop. Hey, out of the car. Out of the car.
By the time the second officer gets to the car and walks in front of it, the first officer had asked Young to get out 5 times. He keeps asking. Young argues. You can hear the exchange on that officer's body-worn camera.
Out of the car. Out of the car. They said you stole stuff, do not leave. Get out of the car. Then get out. No, then get out. Get out of the car.
Young begins to drive. In this freeze frame, you can see the car make contact with the officer standing at the front of the car as his feet leave the ground. That is when that officer fires 1 shot through the windshield. We've paused the video to not show that deadly shot. When we pick up the video a moment later, you can hear the commands continue. The car rolls through the parking lot, stopping under the awning by the store. The video ends with officers busting the driver's side window to get Young out of the car. Now, while Young argues with one of the officers, she denies, as you heard, stealing anything from Kroger. And I just want to walk you back to what she said. She said, quote, "Are you going to shoot me?" Those are the last words you heard from Takaya Young. Also, you may have noticed Blendon Township Police did not identify either of the officers, even blurred their faces. Chief John Belford said that is because of Marcy's Law, is what he alluded to, claiming the 2 officers are crime victims, and the chief believes their identities are protected by state law. Now, one question I did have about that confrontation is why the officer placed himself in front of the car, which was running, and whether that was an appropriate tactic. I took that question to a use of force expert who is not connected to this case, and we'll hear his perspective at 5:30.
All right, Jamie, thank you. Now, the family identified the officer involved as Connor Grubb, and it's a photo of Officer Grubb from the department's Facebook page. Grubb has been on the force since 2019.
And we want to turn now to NBC4's Caleb Michael, who heard from the family's attorney today. Caleb, what are they telling you?
Well, Jen and Jared, Sean Walton, the family attorney for Takaya Young's family, says that this situation is heartbreaking and that she did not have to die. I also got the chance to talk to some of her friends today who told me she was the life of the party. It was always a good time when Takaya was around. They tell me that she loved her 2 little boys to death and was also very close with her family. Now, today was a hard day for the family, as you can imagine, as they got to see that body cam video from the Blendon Township Police Department for the very first time. This morning, we were here when the family met to view it. They were inside for less than 10 minutes and then left not too long after that. In the statement from Blendon Township Chief of Police John Belford, he says this situation is a tragedy and is asking for prayers to the family during this time. We're also getting a chance to hear from members of the community tonight, many taking to social media to share their thoughts on this incident. I spoke with one social justice leader who says after viewing this video, someone needs to be held responsible.
I would love to sit up here and say, like, we can reform this system, but we've been making the reforms after every single death, and nothing is changing. We say more training. You know, we fund these police stations, and we go, yeah, more training is the right answer. Training is not the answer in this case. That officer was trained correctly and still messed up. There has to be accountability on that police officer and on the police station itself.
Jen and Jared, as you all touched on, Connor Grubb is the officer we now know that was involved in this incident. Attorneys with the family were pushing for his name to be publicly released today. We're told at this time that Grubb is on leave pending a review. Local for you in Blendon Township, I'm Caleb Michael, NBC4.
Caleb, thank you. Now, the police union also talking about this situation and the body camera footage. They are calling it a tragedy for everyone involved. NBC4's Eric Halperin is in Blendon Township with what else they are saying and the latest on the investigation. Eric?
Jen, the Attorney General's office tell me BCI's investigation is still going on. Once it's done, it'll be turned over to the prosecutor. The prosecutor will then present evidence to a grand jury. The grand jury will decide if there are charges. Executive Vice President of the FOP Lodge 9, Brian Steele, started off today's news conference saying the body camera video is hard to watch. He said when an officer walks up to a car, one of the first things they do is look for license plates. He said there were no tags on the car Young was in and pointed out when the officer stepped in front of the car, it was parked. He also called this heartbreaking and says the entire incident needs to be looked at, not just how it ended.
Now, I understand much of the public might be wondering why even bother with allegations of shoplifting. There's no real punishment for here anyway in Franklin County, so why shouldn't the officer just let her go? Officers have a legal duty to act. They have a legal duty to act when they are alerted to a crime.
And the Blendon Township Police Chief also released a statement along with the video today. I requested an interview with him. The communications firm working with the department said he won't be available. Local for you, I'm Eric Halperin, NBC4.
This all resulted in a very young woman who was pregnant and had children that depended on her. She was shot by police because they suspected. I haven't seen any evidence. I haven't seen any video footage. I haven't seen anything that shows her walking out of a Kroger's or any grocery store with stolen items. Nothing has been presented so far. So just to put this in perspective, if somebody is stealing, which I'm not saying she is, I'm not going to say anything until they present evidence that what the store says happened, because I would think if they call the police, they should have video footage of her clearly maybe hiding the alcohol, concealing it in her purse, on her persons, and then walking out of the store, which would clear that part of it up. But the other part is this woman ended up dead because let's say that we see video footage of her walking out with a bottle of wine or some Jack Daniels or whatever. To think in your tiny mind that if somebody walks out with a product. Now, we've seen certain people walking out with groceries, walking out with big ticket items and everything. Nobody watches them. They walk right out of the door. I don't know how many times I have been in the store and I have seen somebody watching me. Unbeknownst to them, their little paycheck could not compare to mine, but they are looking. So recently, I even looked somebody in the face like, yeah, I know you're watching. Nobody gives a damn. And you know why I'm okay with them watching me? Because I'm not going to steal anything, but it does give an opportunity for those who look like these people, and you know what I mean, to steal. I have seen it so many times. They are so hyper-focused on the melanin in your skin that they don't see the person with blue eyes like them walk out with stuff in their hand. I have seen it. I saw a situation where somebody was looking at some guy And he wasn't doing anything. He had his receipt. He wasn't stealing anything. But then a group of these boys, one had brown hair, the other two were blondes, and they walked out. They walked past the checkout, the self-checkout, and walked right out of that store. And then somebody frowned and looked, and they had this shocked look on their face. So by the time they realized it, those boys were gone. I have seen this happen so many times, and it is hilarious to me. It's hilarious. I love when their prejudice and their bigotry, F's them over. It's hilarious. But yeah, there are people in the comment section, you're always going to get the one brain cell people who are saying she should have complied. They're saying that she stole this. Haven't seen any evidence so far. We all know the same thing. We all have seen the video, and they're trying to say she tried to run over. So she started the car, or was the car running? Because the report was the car was running, and she did not start the car up and try and run him over. And it seems like she was scared. Why wouldn't she be scared? Look at what happened. What happened is exactly what she was scared of. And that seems to go over people's heads. But she asked them, are you going to shoot me? She was scared to get out of the car. She may have been scared to move her hands. They may have started yelling because he was yelling, get out of the car, and saying that she had a weapon or whatever. So you don't know what crossed her mind. I'm sure she was afraid. I'm sure her emotions were heightened, and she was pregnant. And that is a good question, because that's what I was wondering before the reporter stated. Why did the officer walk in front of the car? If the car is on, or if somebody could start the car up and run you over, why would you place yourself in front of the car? I think that they knew that they were intimidating her. I think they knew that she was scared, and it was a possibility that she could drive off because the car was already on. So he positioned himself that way so he could shoot her. That's my opinion on the situation, because I don't know what cop would stand in front of a car like he's Superman, like he's a damn superhero, or whatever he's thinking, and stand in front of a car and put himself in danger just in case the person just left. And why was it not resolved by maybe taking a picture of her, getting the make and model of the car, taking a picture of the plates, and then handling it that way? Is a bottle of alcohol worth a life? That's the question. I don't know how many stories. Maybe I should make a compilation of colorless people talking about how they were stealing, how they were breaking and entering, how they were committing so many crimes and doing so many drugs, and the police officers, felt sorry for them. They were young and they didn't want their life ruined, so therefore they didn't feel the consequences of anything. They didn't get shot in the face. But yet this police officer felt it was okay to shoot someone over a bottle of liquor, which anybody, let's say at most, it's $35. You mean to tell me even on you couldn't just go pay for it? That you'd rather take somebody's life than somebody pay for it? Because if that was the case, I would have done that. I would have paid for it if it was stolen. But like I said, until I see video of her having unpaid alcohol on her persons, I'm side-eyeing this, because this is disgusting. This is disgusting. There was a story about a man who was shot because he grabbed some designer shades and ran with them. He's running away. He doesn't have a weapon. He just snatched them. And it's okay. Yeah, go ahead. Go shoot him. That's where we've gotten to. If you are hungry, let's say you're down on your luck and you run in a store and you go get, a can of Bush's beans and run out of there. Yeah, it's okay. Shoot him in the back of the head. That's perfectly fine. And you have people who are setting up here saying it's perfectly fine to take someone's life over food, over items, when that company can write that off on their taxes. And they do it all the time. Lost product, even product that's not stolen that they may break or something happens, they can write that off. But you have people with a half a brain cell or less saying that the police was justified because he placed his stupid ass in front of a car that was on, seeing that this woman was scared and intimidating her. And it was appropriate for him to pull out his weapon and discharge it and take her life. Her life was worth a few dollars of liquor. That's what they're saying. Your black ass life is worth a few dollars. But I'll go ahead and leave it right here. Let me know what you thought about this story. Do you believe the cop was justified? Do you not? And I will see you in the next one.